Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Smackdown. And tonight's Smackdown was held from Citizens Business Bank Arena in Ontario, California. And I gotta say, tonight's Smackdown, I thought it was a decent show. While it wasn't a great show by any means, I thought it was much better than Raw last night. But SmackDown was decent tonight. And the show opened up with tonight. SmackDown opened up with Miz in the ring. He was in there for Miz TV. He introduces his guests, who were the Bludgeon Brothers, Harper and Rowan. He says to them that all three of them have something in common, and that last week they both proved how easy it was to take out Daniel Bryan, in the gauntlet match that Daniel Bryan was in. And the whole time the Bludgeon Brothers are in the ring, they're, really silent. They don't even speak. And Miz ends up saying, he ends up calling, Daniel Bryan a glory hound, and saying, because Miz was mentioning that, it's like a movie with like Daniel Bryan, and there's three acts to the story. And so he shows clip one, which was the clip where Renee Young was interviewing Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was saying to Renee Young, is he ready to take on the biggest and best superstars? And then, Daniel Bryan just starts doing the yes, yes chant. Miz calls that Act 1. And so then he calls Daniel Bryan a glory hound, and he says, the plot twist of this film is Daniel Bryan is the villain. And so he goes on to Act 3, where it's a clip where the Bludgeon Brothers end up taking out Daniel Bryan. This was last week in the gauntlet match, where the Bludgeon Brothers took out Daniel Bryan. Miz came in and of course gave him the skull crushing finale, and Miz eliminated Daniel Bryan last week from the gauntlet match. And Miz says that the Bludgeon Brothers deserve Mizzies, and he suggests they were trying out to be the new Miz Taraj, before offering the both of them gigs on his new film. And they end up swatting the mic out of Miz's hand, and out came Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ends up telling the Miz to shut up, and then he says, the Bludgeons last week cost him a shot at the WWE Championship. And he says, he's not Daniel Bryan ends up saying that he's not afraid of the Bludgeon Brothers or the Miz. And he ends up saying, which one of them is he going to fight first, tonight? And Harper says to Daniel that, he never learns, but he's going to tonight. So it's going to be Harper versus Daniel Bryan tonight, which was the main event. So it was a pretty decent opening with Miz TV and the Bludgeon Brothers and Daniel Bryan. Then we saw New Day was backstage. They were down in a shake. I think Xavier Woods was down in the shake because he had a match coming up after the commercial break. And so when SmackDown came back from the commercial, it was Xavier Woods versus Rusev. This was a decent match. Really enjoyed this match. Xavier Woods was decent. Rusev, coming off his win last week in the gauntlet match, he's going to meet Styles for the WWE Championship at Extreme Rules. And Rusev ended up getting the win with the Accolade. on Xavier Woods. Rusev wins the match. Then after the match, Rusev says, tonight wasn't about Xavier or, New Day or pancakes. And he says tonight it's about AJ Styles. And so Rusev says that Styles is afraid. And he says he's taken the WWE Championship from Styles. And that, when he does that, it's going to be a great Rusev Day. And that's what happened post-match. But Rusev versus Xavier Woods, it was a decent match. I liked it. Then we had Jeff Hardy end up cutting a promo saying that, he's ready to take flight and fight. Really cool makeup, face paint done on Jeff Hardy as what we saw last week. This is old school Jeff Hardy. And he had his face paint was white and blue and green. And, of course, he had the blue contacts with the white, which is cool looking. Old school Jeff Hardy. What I like. And Jeff Hardy was supposed to originally take on Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship, but Nakamura ended up getting injured because he was bit by a police dog, a canine dog, from what I read in the article. So that match ended up getting canceled, and then Jeff Hardy issued a open challenge. It was going to be an open challenge for anyone to take on Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we saw Naomi and Lana backstage bickering about the breakdancing competition they had, weeks ago. The cast of Glow comes there, which Glow is the show on Netflix, which I never watched the show. I know it has its second season coming up on Friday, and that's the reason why the cast was on SmackDown tonight to promote the show for their second season on Friday. But I heard good things about Glow. Heard good things about that show. But they come. One of them says, to Naomi that they all feel the glow, and it was pretty much that. So it was just a promotion for the second season for Glow, which sometime hopefully check out the show, because like I said, I heard good things about the show. Then we had the open challenge match with Jeff Hardy, and the person who stepped up to the challenge was Eric Young of Sanity. And Sanity made their SmackDown debut finally last week, where they ended up taking out the Usos. And it was Jeff Hardy and Eric Young for the United States Championship. And it was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match between the both of them. Sanity comes to SmackDown last week, and already one of the members, are in a match. And Eric Young was decent in the match. It was entertaining up until the end of the match, where it ended in a no contest because the Usos came. And they ended up being up on Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf, the other two members of Sanity. The Usos getting their revenge after what Sanity did last week to them. And then when the SmackDown came back from commercial, it was a six-man tag team match. It was Jeff Hardy and the Usos versus Sanity. And it was a decent match between them. It was really enjoyable. Sanity, of course, in the match after making their debut last week. Already they got competition. But Jeff Hardy and the Usos ended up getting the win. Jeff Hardy ended up pinning the Swanton Bomb to Alexander Wolf to score the win. So Jeff Hardy and the Usos win, which is disappointing for Sanity after last week they made their debut. At least wish they could have got a win tonight. But there's more opportunities for Sanity. I know that they're probably gonna do just Usos versus either like two the Usos versus two members of Sanity. So I know they're probably gonna do that, and I'm looking forward to it. But if they do that, which I know WWE might. But all in all, the match itself, it was a decent match. It was enjoyable. It was good seeing Sanity, all three members of Sanity, in their first match on SmackDown. So sorry about that, but the next match, it was Becky Lynch versus Sonya Deville, and this was another decent match. It was back and forth between Becky and Sonya. Mandy Rose was out there, outside of the ring. Becky Lynch, decent. I really enjoyed Becky Lynch in this match. This should get a clue to WWE, to WWE Creative, that Becky is doing, pretty decently. And, it kind of makes me wish, that Becky Lynch has been winning matches. I think they should give her a chance to have her get to, have an opportunity again for her to win the SmackDown Women's Championship in the future. But Becky Lynch ended up getting the win. She applied the disarmer to Sonya Deville. So Becky Lynch wins the match. And just by this, if Becky Lynch, if they make Becky Lynch to do good and win more matches, hopefully this leads to her again a opportunity and a shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, because it's been a while since Becky held the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, but all in all, Becky Lynch versus Sonya Deville, it was a decent match. Then James Ellsworth was backstage. He was wearing Asuka's mask. Ty Dillinger ends up coming, and he says, James Ellsworth says to him, "Oh, what do you think of the mask? Is it a 10?" And so Ty Dillinger ends up saying, it's a 1 with the mask. It is funny though. I mean, Ty Dillinger, it's sad with Ty Dillinger. I mean, this guy was, in NXT, everyone loved him. He was over with the crowd, and then now it's like after he got to the main roster, he feels lost. He got lost in the shuffle. Because they barely use him. So yeah. And then when SmackDown came back from commercial, Andrade, Cien Almas, and Zelina Vega cut a promo, but mostly it was Zelina Vega doing the promo. She says, they put Sin Cara on the shelf, and that, there is no competition for Andrade. I guess Zelina wants more competition for Andrade, for anyone to step up and take on him. So, but yeah, we didn't see Andrade last week on SmackDown. But hopefully, they give Andrade, more competition. I would like to see him again on SmackDown. Whoever it is, just give him some competition. Then we had James Ellsworth coming out. Says last week Asuka ruined Carmella's championship celebration, and that Asuka attacked him for nothing. He says there is no love. Asuka has no love, no respect and that, you know, he wasn't ready for Asuka last week, and, you know, he is ready this week. And he calls her out. He calls out Asuka, you know, to come out and kick him again. So Paige ends up coming out and says, you know, Asuka isn't here because Ellsworth was running backstage looking for Asuka. And she says Carmella is going to defend the SmackDown Women's Championship against Asuka at Extreme Rules. So that match is happening at Extreme Rules. And Ellsworth says Asuka doesn't deserve another shot. And Ellsworth says, Ellsworth says to Paige that the only reason that she's out here is, you know, for him to ask Paige on a date, for him to ask Paige out on a date. And she says to Ellsworth, how about next Tuesday? And so, you know, which we think that, you know, Ellsworth is going to go on a date with Paige. Wrong. Paige ends up making a match next week for SmackDown. So it'll be James Ellsworth versus Asuka. So that's going to be happening next Tuesday. But all in all, it was a meh segment with James Ellsworth, in my opinion. Sorry about that again, but next match, it was the main event. Daniel Bryan versus Harper of the Bludgeon Brothers. This was a good match. Daniel Bryan, of course, very entertaining in the match. You know, he went all out to take out Harper. Daniel Bryan ended up getting the win by disqualification because Rowan ended up coming into the ring. Daniel Bryan had the yes lock locked on Harper. Rowan ran into the ring and caused the match to be a disqualification. Rowan ends up beating up Daniel Bryan. Both him and Harper end up decimating Daniel Bryan. Kane then comes back, which we probably all knew it was going to happen. Kane ends up coming back, beats down on Harper and Rowan. He goes for the choke slam to both of them. Harper and Rowan break out of it. They end up kicking him. They end up kicking Kane. Daniel Bryan then goes and hits a double drop kick to both Harper and Rowan. Daniel then, you know, hits a knee to Rowan. Kane then ends up choke slamming Harper. And then it was just, you know, Daniel Bryan and Kane in the ring. And the crowd just went crazy. They were chanting, you know, Team Hell No, hug it out. It was a good moment. It was a good moment. At first, Kane wanted Daniel to hug him, but Daniel ends up, you know, shaking his head because, you know, years ago, you know, the team ended up splitting up. Kane went to be Corporate Kane in the Authority, and, you know, at that time he was just beating the living hell out of Daniel Bryan. And so, you know, kind of see why, you know, Daniel at first didn't want to hug him, didn't want to hug it out with Kane. You know, and then the crowd just, you know, started cheering yes, doing the yes chants, you know, for Daniel to hug it out, you know, with Kane. And eventually led to them, you know, both hugging it out. The crowd would end up happy about that. Paige comes out and says that at Extreme Rules, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships will be on the line. The Bludgeon Brothers will be defending them against Team Hell No, you know, Daniel Bryan and Kane. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, the crowd really enjoyed it. The crowd really enjoyed this, you know, this Team Hell No reunion. Really liked it. It was a good moment, in my opinion. So, and that pretty much ended SmackDown for tonight. So, yes, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of SmackDown. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, which will possibly be my Lucha Underground review of Season 4, Episode 3. So until that video, I'll see you all later.